Go. Hi, Chris. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. Welcome everybody to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast. I think this is going to be like episode 121.
Damn, you've been doing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Or you have done a lot, but you're very consistent with that. How long? When did you start it? Year-wise, was it like 2 years ago?
I think it was about 2 years ago. Yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started it, I knew the road I was in for, but the people who I started it with, or the people who used to do it with me more often, it's like I knew the deal. I knew that I wouldn't even see anything that looks like traction until like episode 150, which would be like 150 weeks worth of episodes. So like
you're almost there. But yeah, you were ready for the long haul. A lot of other people weren't.
But it's not like I was gonna gas him up either. Say, oh, it's gonna blow up any day. No, it's not like that for me. You know, like it's more of a passion project. So yeah. So we were just talking about, well, I made this prediction a little while ago that you might be able to find on Twitter or whatever. I was like,
yeah, it's blowing up all the tweets.
By 2025, Western conservatives on Twitter will start adopting Eastern esoteric traditions and spiritual practices and call the new trend being rice pilled.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been happening, but I just added a little rice pilled at the end of it. But yeah, once we were talking about how white guys who are somewhat in the vaguely libertarian conservative arena of their ideological framework, they tend to we were talking about how like, oh, why is it that the white guys only like try to read shit like, oh, the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi or Hakakure, the Book of Samurai Wisdom. Instead, they should be reading like fucking Confucius, or they should be reading like
there's a long and storied, more storied in fact, East Asian tradition of nerd scholars stuff. All your Tao I Ching, Taoism has a martial tradition to it too, but all of the self-cultivation.
I do like Taoism a lot.
Yeah, it's the most individualistic of Eastern religions, it feels like.
Taoism?
Yeah.
It's also the most chaotic. I mean,
yeah, so it's the most fun one.
Because when you break it down, you could get into some really, really weird shit. Like, because sexuality has a lot to do with the practices, and of course, you know, you could. I'm actually speaking out of my depth here, but the whole thing is like it's looking through the framework of human life through like the lens of chi. Everything you do starts as chi. That's your will energy. You know, it's like if you go to lift this bottle up with, you know, from the table, before I even move my hand, I'm expending chi to even think of the idea or to have the desire to do so.
Yeah.
So if you know these things and you know everything is chi, then it's really easy to like experiment with yourself and other people, like consenting parties ideally.
And let's see, Taoism, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. I have a piss poor understanding of it. I'm sure it's less than the average American citizen. But Tao means the way. Yeah. And it's about cultivating and finding your own way in the world.
Yes.
And connecting with that greater way. And a big focus of it is to find effortless action.
Yeah.
Once again, this is something that everyone knows.
No, it's not.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Go on.
All I'm saying is a lot of the practices are focused on energy, right? Mm-hmm. And you could leave it at that, but you could make it more profound and find profound parallels between, say, energy and divine essence.
True. You could also start drinking mercury to take it to the next level. Like,
dude, you think it stops at that? What about the guys who understand chi to such a degree where they're able to discover a tradition where they could say, all right, when we talk about chi, we talk about will energy. And the thing about will is
breath
is pure intention. Same thing with breath. Like breath is like, without breath, like there is no intention, you know? It's like the most primal physical manifestation of intention is your breathing. So like if you understand all this and you understand like every extension of your will is connected with like your desires and like your sense of emptiness or fulfillment or whatever. So it's safe to assume that the older you get, the more diluted and corrupted your chi gets, right? So that if they wanted to feed on, or if they wanted to empower themselves or energize themselves with pure chi, they would do it through sexual union with a human who has a pure chi. And a lot of times that could be children. So this is where, like, you know, even Taoist practices can get really fucked up. When I say chaotic, this is what I mean. Like, as good and beneficial and cosmically amazing and enlightening it could be, I'm pretty sure it could also get like really, really fucking twisted and dark.
Very common. I mean, I know obviously it's not Taoism, it's Buddhism, but the tremendous amounts of pederasty in Tibetan Buddhism.
Well, probably a lot of it has to do with harvesting the youthful energy of being around a kid.
I could see that makes a lot of sense. It goes along with also wanting to avoid the female energy influence.
And you even see like weird manifestations of it in the modern world with conspiracies like adrenochrome and shit.
Yeah,
I think
that's a very good connection.
But I think that's really what it is. It's not the literal chemical extraction of adrenochrome. These rituals are really predicated on, well, there's a lot of power in corrupting and using children as a tool for corruption and manipulation. For example, we talk about it all the time, how like if I'm like a trillionaire or if I'm like beyond any kind of conceivable money heir, like I'm just a guy, I'm just like one of the guys who are in the cabal, who are in the Illuminati or whatever. And I wanted to control you as a powerful person, like as an influential person, like a pro athlete, a celebrity, like a movie god or a rock star or some shit. The best way for me to do that is to convince you to have sex with a kid in front of a camera, and in return you'll get like insane occult secrets, and I mean like tangible secrets, shit that could possibly make you live forever. Like when your physical body dies, they could possibly teach you how to like transfer your consciousness to be able to live through another person. Shit like that. I mean, do I know if this is what's actually behind the curtains? I don't, but it could be. And it could also be tied to like preserved technology from like ancient civilizations and all this other stuff that we can't confirm, but our intuition knows is like there's something there. If you pull the thread. But like that being said, the best way to control such people is to have them in such a situation. And then record them doing it, take pictures, take videos, and that's the deal. And if they ever step out of line, if they ever try to reveal things they're not supposed to, just put this out, and it's a wrap for them.
Yeah.
Look at Epstein Island. What do you think Epstein Island was?
It definitely was that. It was a blackmail running.
It's one of those farms. Yeah, it's a blackmail farm. But I think that there's like millions of that shit all around the world.
Yeah, I could see it. Definitely, there's always... I wonder what it's like having that abrupt shift from the world we're living into, hey, you've moved up in income and fame bracket. It's time for you to start fucking kids.
I think they're really good at vetting you, and I think they're really good at
introduce you slowly, or
I think it's a very gradual process.
It makes sense because you wouldn't want to throw people straight into the kiddie pool.
There's a really good story. So
I think you've told it previously on this show about how different sins.
They kind of drip you into it. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
because like for example, like let's say you did skip the drug part and you did skip the orgy party and you did skip the food and you just went to I just want to see what's at the end. Yeah. And then by the end of it, everyone else is like drunk and fed and sexed up, and you're just like.
What the fuck, guys?
Yeah, and then you're like, by the time you get to the end, before you get to the final door, you're like, I have a bad feeling about this. Like I have a really, really, really bad feeling about it. So it makes a lot of sense why they would put you through such an initiation.
Yeah.
And the most important
I would just turn 180 degrees, walk out, and grab a bottle of liquor on my way out.
Yeah. That's pretty much what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They grab some drugs. They maybe fuck another bitch on the whatever.
Yeah.
Grab some food, but because they're not.
They'll give me a doggy bag for this child.
And they will give it to you. They're not trying to force you into it because that would defeat the whole purpose. Like that would make the whole.
I look on the doggy bag they give me and it has a pentagram on, and I say, "Come on, guys."
I bet they would give you like complimentary cigars or some shit on the way out. They'd be like, "We won't tell you to come again, but thanks."
I would appreciate it and thank them for it.
But like, because in the story, like apparently they went around the back by accident. And they saw what was going down. I think like, so it's like having gone through each step, and then, but the most important one was after the food, after the sex, after the drugs, after all that fun shit, they get to one room where it shows like a huge bookshelf that shows like every religious scripture ever printed, ever disseminated, ever published. And they say, pick your faith, and you pick one. And then you put like your left hand over it or something, or you put your right hand over it. And then you don't say something outright denouncing, but it sounds vaguely like you're denouncing. It's like, oh, I give my power utmost truly to the one true one true supreme, you know, whatever, some shit like that.
Some theosophy or non-denominational but
But
blasphemous sounding thing.
but the fact that you're doing it with your own faith and your own Bible, your own Quran, and maybe that's a requisite. Maybe they have to know that you kind of come from a religious background or some shit.
Maybe. And they know already if you try fucking with them by grabbing the wrong religious text.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
They know you're not passing the screening process.
So yeah, this is that. And look, I don't condone any of that shit. However, I do find it incredibly objectively fascinating. Like if I was a detective trying to like figure out this case, I would be like endlessly blown away. I'll be like, holy fuck, because that's how I really feel. I'm like, this is insane shit.
Yeah.
I mean, look, regardless of how I feel about it, and I feel absolutely terrible about it. It's like disgusting shit. It's horrific. It's like the stuff of nightmares. However, I'm more so wondering like, why didn't I think this existed before? Because I imagined such things as terrible, and if you could imagine it, chances are someone has the resources to fucking do it and probably the will to do it.
Yeah. I wonder if in the past you rarely had to get to the child fucking stage, that there is just other things that were immoral that had a similar level.
You want to hear something really fucked up? I think this is just one iteration of that same framework. I think it's a framework of initiation of ritual for this kind of like thing,
secret society.
But you'll find it in celebrity circles, you'll find it in Hollywood circles, you'll find it in Ivy League circles, like secret.
There's a lot of things mentioning or suggesting at this throughout history, and secret societies that are confirmed to exist, that were like mystery cults in Rome or whatever, were a prominent feature of the past. If anything, it'd be more surprising that they no longer exist.
I mean, in secret, like for these such societies, for even they could probably facilitate a kind of their own dark marriage. Like if like two members of the secret society wanted to get married, they had to do the union under the jurisdiction of their society.
Yeah.
And they would make each one like fuck a kid in front of each other or something, and then get married, and then under unholy union or some crazy shit. But I could imagine this because look, whether or not you believe the demonic aspects, the whole like spirit energy, whether or not you believe that's real is irrelevant, because the fact is there is actual power dynamics at play here. Whether or not there are whether or not there are occult secrets to be given, you are given tangible power, insane influence. You're giving whatever you want in this world. It's like, you want a mansion? Done. You want to fuck one of the Kardashians? Done. Like they'll hook anything up for you, and this is why they would do it. This is why guys like Tom Cruise would do this. This is why guys like Christian Bale would do this. This is why guys like fucking Steven Spielberg would do this. I mean, I bet you like all three of those guys that I named, I'm pretty sure aren't in on it. I don't know about Christian Bale. He might be.
Yeah. I know George Lucas is not in on it.
Yeah, he's too much of a weirdo for the cool pedophile.
Yeah, exactly.
Hollywood.
There's a memo, an Epstein memo, where Epstein literally says,
"No, George Lucas."
Yeah, he says like, no, he's incorruptible. He's just too autistic. He's sitting there at the child sex orgy, and he's just like, so I think it'd be really cool if this alien is a Jew, but he's also Chinese. But to make sure that people don't know, so you know how Jews have small hats. This alien will have a big hat, so no one will think he's a Jew. And they're like, get this guy out of here. And then he's incredible. Like, let me tell you about my favorite 1950s hot rods, American muscle cars. That's why I made an alien be a diner owner and a hot rod racer.
That's so funny. I bet you they'd be like, Bill Gates, we told you not to fucking bring George Lucas. And Bill Gates is like, I'm sorry, I couldn't just leave him there. You know, he's like, he's like my retarded brother. I gotta look after him.
Well, the other possibility is Epstein said no black chicks on the island. No, he said that he wasn't interested in them whatsoever.
No. You know what? I do think
more R. Kelly and Drake got all of them.
I do think there is a aspect of black culture at the upper echelons of black culture. I also think they use these kinds of rituals.
Yeah, I mean, this Cat Williams talks about this with Puff Daddy. Yeah. Dude, same thing with 50 Cent. 50 Cent saying like, I ain't going to any of P. Diddy's parties.
This is the scariest fucking part of all of this, because when I said this is the pivotal thing, the thing you guys have to like remember is when I said it's the same framework. Like, imagine this whole framework of like feeding you, like putting you through this like slow gradual initiation process where you get vetted each time through parties and events or whatever, and you know, you depending, and then they look at how you act and see if you'd be a good fit. And once they determine it, they lead to the conclusion, which is the most evil and heinous human act you could do, which is diddle a kid. So
or murder.
and
Both.
if you think about this, anywhere with a major power structure worth billions to trillions of dollars, you can assume something like this is going on top of that. Whether it's pro sports, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's fucking the military, whether it's Ivy
What do
League
you
colleges.
think is the most powerful organizations that do not engage in this? Not as powerful as these other things, but what's like the higher echelon before you get into the occult sphere? Like, do car dealership guys have their own little occult sphere, or are they like an upper echelon of it?
Well, here's the thing. Well, now we're talking about the light and the dark. Okay, so we're talking we're talking about the most highest powers of the darkness, which is the things we could see, the demons. They work through material.
I'm also talking about the cutoff point. Like, what's the highest end of being an ordinary person?
An ordinary person.
Does this make sense? What I'm asking?
Yes. I think
what's the richest you can be without getting into this weird shit?
I think the richest, like the most,
or just anything like that, most influential, richest.
I know. You're basically saying that, like, who are the most? We just described the most powerful Sith. What do the most powerful Jedis look like? I think it's the people that are the happiest with like nothing. It's the people, and you never hear them. They might as well be also walking in shadows and secrets because we don't notice them. But the people who are the happiest with nothing, those they're on the other end of the spectrum. Because you get to that end of the spectrum through what? Desire and lacking and scarcity and fear. Whereas the other way is through confidence, is through grace. It's through being one with nature and gratitude, like the hobbits. The hobbits really were the most powerful opposite end of the spectrum, not because they were strong or able to kill or whatever. It's because they literally existed on the other end of the light spectrum. They were like, we don't need to do all that shit. We don't need to do anything. So that's the real secret. It's like you can't look towards the elites to fight the elites. No, you have to look towards the masses with nothing. And the more they have nothing, the lighter they ultimately have to become, because or they die. Like, if you try to keep this fear scarcity mentality and you strip away their material things, they'll die or they will change. It's one or the other, So yeah, I mean, so to answer your question, it's like the most powerful people who are on the other end, who are not involved with the weird shit, are.
Well, I'm asking kind of like, who are the non-aligned people?
The non-aligned people?
Yeah,
like NPCs.
Exactly.
They're like victims. But I mean, the people who are so aligned, where it's like, dude, I live in a temple in Tibet. We don't even have internet. We could barely have like tasty things to eat because we can't grow shit or raise shit here. So we just sustain off of like weird vegetation.
I think they have a lot of yak meat and milk.
Okay.
They were constantly like shaking down peasants for tribute, but
they didn't have much.
I mean, whatever. Tibet was a theocracy.
All I'm saying is, like, on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who in fact, they make it their mission to be as satisfied as possible with as little as possible. I mean, if anything, that's the best way to fight the darkness. The best way, listen, people, the best way to fight the darkness that we're speaking of, like the evil elites, like beyond billionaires, beyond like people that we would never, entities that we would never even
the secret society, shadow or all that.
You cannot fight them through bureaucracy. You cannot fight them through revolution. You cannot fight them through reform. Why? Because they control all those dynamics. All of those things are based off of the lie. So it's like it's like trying to fight God by like lifting his arm and making him punch himself. It's never gonna fucking work. What you can do is just reject the system altogether. Like, that's the only way. Because if everyone did that, then what happens? They lose everything. The only reason why they have so much power is because from our most fundamental being, the masses are controlled by fear, scarcity. Oh, if I don't buy these shoes, I'm going to fucking hate myself. If I don't get this job, I'm going to fucking hate myself and I won't be able to look in the mirror. I should probably kill myself. Or if I don't fucking... if I don't get laid tonight, oh my God, like, why am I even alive? Like, shit like that. Like, it's always based on scarcity. Like, the system, the matrix is... any paradigm that tries to enforce a void within you to make you less content, less satisfied. That's the
grasping.
That's the archonic. That's what the demiurge powers itself off of. You think the demiurge is functioning randomly? No, the demiurge is very mechanical. The demiurge is very sensible. The demiurge senses lack and does whatever is necessary to fill it. That's the demiurge. The demiurge is enabled through scarcity, is enabled through things that you feel you don't have, but you need. Now, the secret to fixing that is all perspective, which is the most hilarious part. Because to fix that, you give a person billions of dollars, and they might still have that issue. They might still feel scarcity in their life. What does that tell you? It's not a material problem. It's a spiritual problem. It's a spiritual malady. Addiction can work like that too. Like, you give a person all the money in the world, all the treatment in the world, and yet they still can't kick the habit. Is because they haven't found God.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up how that works. Because like an atheist, specifically, I think atheists are very vulnerable to addiction. And the fact that an atheist can become an addict so quickly, just to be told in fucking rehab, it's like, sorry, the only way out is through God. I would be so pissed. I'd be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. And you're right though about the universality of this.
Like the framework. The
framework. Yeah.
The pattern, I call it, like I say, we're all determined living by patterns. Now, okay,
Yeah.
this is a good segue into another point. So let's discuss the differences between a schizo and a mystic. There's a lot of overlap between schizos and mystics, because both schizos and mystics are arguably generally tend to be intelligent people. Like people who are because what is like a measure of general intelligence is pattern recognition.
Yeah.
Now, if you have really good pattern recognition skills, it could turn out really good for you, which was what most people think it would do, but it could also turn out really bad for you.
Apophenia, I think that's the word. The finding connections where there are none is such a common schizo mentally ill trait.
No. Because if you're really smart, right? Because if you're trying to find patterns, you're seeing connections in everything, because that's the only way to spot patterns. Yeah. If you're smart enough, you would understand that everything is in fact interconnected, and everything is actually patterns. Like the patterns that you see that are freaking you out are probably real. However, that's the schizo. The schizo focuses on all the external patterns. Like, oh, I see the pattern here, and this
number repeats in my life.
And it's true. He's actually right. It does repeat, and it is pattern. It is systematic on a metaphysical level, and it is crazy, and it is spooky, and it is weird and mystical. However, that's not going to help you. That's not going to give you enrichment in your life or satisfaction. The schizo's problem is they focus first on external patterns.
Yeah.
What you should really, the mystic focuses on internal. Well, first, the mystic focuses on the simplest patterns that are often taken for granted, like day and night, the changing seasons, our sleeping patterns, our eating patterns, our exercise patterns. These are the patterns that we don't really think about, because the schizo sees he finally just awakens and he sees like connections everywhere and he gets obsessed with, but he doesn't, then that makes him forget like the simple patterns and how it affects their patterns, their own patterns, how they think, how they feel, how they act. That's the difference between a schizo and a mystic. A mystic, yes, realizes, oh shit, everything's patterns, everything's connected. However, instead of like being obsessed with like the external patterns, they look inwards. It's like, what am I eating? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? Why am I responding this way? That's
that kind of mindfulness. Yeah.
But then when you turn that pattern recognition inwards and master your own patterns, then the external patterns become way easier to master, and the barriers of illusion start breaking down really rapidly in any given situation. So yeah, I really think the problem with schizos is they're really smart people essentially, but
they're lost in external patterns that they can't properly decipher.
Because pattern recognition is the basis of magic, manifestation.
Yeah.
It's like to be able to command your reality is literally to master your patterns, to master what you eat, to master how often you sleep, what you exercise, when you exercise, what books you read, what videos you watch, like what you try to learn, what skills you pick up. Like that's what self-mastery gives you. It gives you basically command of the world, command of your reality, So I think, am I really interested in teaching people this? I wouldn't know, but what I do know is like, if you were to just like, you could like grab a person in the street and just tell them all this until you're blue in the face, but it's never going to sink. One, it's because of how human minds work. Nobody adopts an external idea nobody like adopts an idea unless they thought of wanting to adopt it themselves. Like you have to make them think they came up with it themselves to like take it on, so that's one aspect. But another aspect is it's way more effective to like demonstrate than to explicate. And like I know this through martial arts training, because like I realized very quickly from like early days of training that sensei would tell me something to try something, I'd be like, try it, and he'd be like, no, you're not doing it right. I'm like, really? I feel like I'm doing it right. He's like, all right, hold the practice sword. I'm like, okay. And I try it on me, and I was like, all right. And I do it. I just get my fucking ass kicked. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit. You know, he was right. But then I also instantly knew what I was doing wrong. So it's like, that to me is like the power of demonstrating versus explicating, you know? To try to convince someone, don't use your words, use your fucking actions. And
That's a very good point, actually. Something that's very relevant to me as someone who has tried and failed many times to convince people of things through words to my own
dude,
exasperation.
I never try to fucking use my words to convince someone of anything. If I wanna really control, like make someone do something I want them to do, I'll never try to. Well, I can't like physically force them. Like I'm not gonna like beat them up or like point a gun at them. But what I will do is like, the only thing I would ever want other people to do is to take better care of themselves, is to align themselves in mind, body, and soul. Because I think if everyone, the more people that did that in the world, the better the world is, right? The more the world is populated by aligned people, the better off we're all going to be. So how do I do this? I can't just like go around getting into people's faces and like, you got to align yourself in mind, body, and soul. What I can do it to myself. And I could gain all the blessings and the fruits and the benefits of living aligned, because you do get benefits. That's why you should do it. You do get benefits, tangible benefits from living a life where your mind, body, and soul are not at war with each other in terms of how you think, feel, and act. If you do live that life, you get crazy benefits. And it's a win-win for me. It's like I get the benefits of living that, you know, that way. Other people could see it and they would say like, you know, maybe it's like it's a friend who's particularly doing like bad, like, you know, down bad. And, you know, like we would be just chilling one-on-one and then, you know, like away from everyone else. And they would ask me, it's like, yo, how do you do it? You know, like, help me out. Like, this is the kind of shit I'm dealing with in my life. Like, I'm kind of like fucking up here. Like, tell me how to straighten out. And I know they would never ask me that unless I was that person, you know, who also did that themselves. Like, so yeah, that's why I'm, you know, like when it comes to like spirituality in the new age circles, there's this whole thing about life paths, and there's like different like archetypal life paths. Like some people are the rebel, the activist, the healer, the warrior, whatever. And then like and then there was like something called, because the healer, like it's kind of whack being the healer. Like, you know, like the fucking person who's like, oh, they take on all the other people's pain and abuse and whatever,
Yeah.
and so that they could be transmuted and heal themselves. Like, and then there's the activist. I'm like, you know what? Those idiots can have fun with that. I am the fucking way shower.
Yeah.
I don't need to preach. I don't need to I mean, preaching's good. I try to anyway. But like, I don't need to really try to convince you of anything. I just got to do it myself, you know. And like, I'll show the way. I'll literally show the way, show the Tao.
Yeah.
Because it's really like, it gets to a point where it's just intangible shit. You can't really like portray it with words. You just got to live it and show it. Penny, for your thoughts?
No, I'm just thinking about all of it, about these life paths, how people live themselves, different personas you take on or have hoisted upon.
Well,
you.
for the record, this stuff has been out here for damn near
Long
like
time.
centuries. You know, like we have a strong
millennia.
Yeah, we have a strong lineage since Hermeticism with like Thoth and the Emerald Tablets to Carl Jung. You know, I would call him like a modern mystic.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
He was. He's often thought of as a psychiatrist, but really he was
like
a shaman masquerading as a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
or as a psychologist, I should say. Yeah, Jung is very.
Well, to me, a shaman is just is an adept, is a person who knows how to play the reality game, manipulation game. But a shaman is an adept that exists in a world where they are the minority. There was a time when most people were shamans, when most people knew like this kind of occult shit. Now, here's my theory. Let's just use the word psychic to discuss like reality manipulating adepts, right? Psychics. They say
like adept, but yeah.
Adept. Okay, let's use the word adept, all right?
Yeah.
So with adepts, they say the most powerful adepts are those who can make themselves happy or sad at will using just their thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that for a second. Like, let that cook for like 2 seconds. Like an adept, the most powerful adepts are the people who can make themselves happy or sad at will using just their thoughts, or angry, presumably.
Yeah.
So imagine a world where everyone could do that. Like, that could potentially be an extremely dangerous world, damn near apocalyptic levels of dangerous.
Levels of psychic awakenings within the populace. Percentage that's awakened.
I mean, like, like let's start with the root of it. Imagine if every single person could make themselves happy or sad, or
They can self-wire brain. Yeah.
they literally could change their emotional state at will using just their thoughts. Now, if everyone in the world could do this, I asked my friend this as like a philosophical, hypothetical. I was like, he goes, that could potentially be very dangerous, because imagine like suddenly the world turned into that, and like we're like, oops, sorry, we just nuked you, but like it was just a prank, like no harm, no foul, right?
Everyone's just engaging in magical warfare immediately all the time.
It is magic. No, that's another thing. Just because nobody would have to feel sad if they didn't want to doesn't mean we would stop fighting. I think we would have just higher levels. Like,
I think so too. Yeah,
there'll be like
I think conflict is very inherent to humans.
I think conflict is very inherent to the fabric of the universe.
Universe, better than that. You're right.
Yeah.
This is honestly, side note, this is one of my biggest complaints with Marx, is imagining a world without
utopia,
conflict. Yeah, a utopia.
Yeah, it's really gay.
And ultimately, A, it's gay. B, I think it's just not true, because conflict exists before man.
That's why I fucking hate the Bohemian people.
Reasonable,
I hate that, because it's this utopian shit. Like they'll always say some stupid shit like, oh, like if you feel they should suffer just because you did, that makes you an awful person. I'm like, first of all, it's not that people think you should suffer because they did. It's just that they know that only a retard thinks you could live a life that's void of suffering. If you could do the right thing, you'll never have to experience suffering ever again. That's some dumb fucking danger. It's, first of all, it's annoying at best and very dangerous at worst.
Enabling a lot of bad behaviors, and
that's what I don't like about this fucking like basically the people you would see in the movie Rent. Fuck those people. I fucking hate those people.
The opera is pretty good. Love Boheme.
I mean,
it's a remake of an opera.
I mean, there was even a scene in the movie or the play where like a local black lady goes up to me. She's like, "You fucking idiots! You're just tourists. Like, you're just a bunch of idiots that don't like your fucking set, rigid life because you don't know how to break out of it yourself because you're a bunch of fucking morons." Yeah, fuck those people. Fuck the Rent people. Fuck. I don't care if they got AIDS. They did it to themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, there was some like, innocent, regular poor black people mixed into the bohemian crowd, but that's another toxic thing about them, like just a bad influence.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, maybe those poor black people would have went to Chinatown and learned kung fu instead or some shit.
I don't know about that. Maybe. I think the proportion of the guys who are really on their blade shit, they're studying the 7 rings, they're going to do it anyway.
You're right.
I think it's very silly to blame
I love the
Bohemian or gentrifiers for it.
I love the Afro-Asian 70s martial arts.
I love it too. It's a great aesthetic. It makes a lot of sense for the guys. It's something pretty smart.
It's like, I grew up in the harsh streets of New York City, and I thought my life wasn't going to amount to nothing. Then one day, when I thought I was going to bite the dust from Big T-Bone and the gang,
I watched a kung fu movie.
This crazy old man came out of nowhere off Canal Street. And he just went like, whoop-pow, whoop-pow, whoop-pow. And he did some crazy shit I ain't never seen before in my life. And ever since that day, I knew I was destined to become City Kung Fu. It's just that's when the fucking blaxploitation like song comes on. It's like,
the funk song,
sick. That's a sick fucking narrative.
It's a great narrative. It's a
Ninja
great
Turtle,
aesthetic.
Ninja
it
Turtles,
is. I mentioned before Ghost Dog, one of the finest examples of it.
And dude, I was like, that's why I never made a stink about Yasuke, the Black Samurai. I'm like, first of all, if there is any people that could use some integration into fucking Asian culture, it's the fucking black people. They could use some of this fucking Asian kung fu magic. They need it, dude.
Yeah, it's very true. They really do.
And not just them, but I think the white people need it. And the fucking Latino people. Everyone needs this shit. Honestly, it's so funny. Like every other culture is like, don't appropriate my culture. Meanwhile, the East Asians are like, please just try this shit out. Please.
Well, it's interesting with it shows the level of assimilation of Asian American girls who complain about white women wearing kipao, the Hong Kong dress.
They're just trying to
get they're just fitting in with bourgeois whites. But in contrast, there's this time like a decade ago where there's an exhibit at the MFA in Boston, Museum of Fine Arts, and it was like try on a kimono. And there was a big protest against it, saying it was Orientalism and cultural appropriation.
And the Japanese people are like, dude,
loved
this is great.
We loved it. They did exactly. You have exactly what happened. Yeah.
The people like to project their own fucking sense of exclusivity. It just really boils down to scarcity.
Yeah.
It's afraid. It's honestly, and all this shit boils down to a fear of death.
It's
It's like if my culture dies, then I die. If my hobby dies, then a part of me dies. If my favorite artist dies, then a part. It's really just all boils down to a fear of death. If you're a spiritual person, if you believe in an immortal soul, then you like kind of lose that. You're like, I'm gonna die. My soul won't though, because the souls don't die. Like it's the whole point. I mean, maybe souls are finite, but I don't think it's as finite as the human body by any means.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that being said, I think Afro-Asian cultural fusion is cool.
It's very cool. It's one of those wonderful products of globalization and of America.
Yeah, and it's not even like the esoteric Asian wisdom was ever exclusive to just Asians. It was always available to everyone.
Yeah, but travel and communication technology makes it easier.
But I think the difference was like, to get a lot out of continental European Western philosophy, all you really had to do was do a lot of reading, like serious reading though, like contemplative reading and note taking, but reading nonetheless. But like the Asian stuff is a little more holistic. To really get the most out of Asian philosophy, you kind of have to live it in a lot of ways. Like you have to, like, they talk about dietary restrictions, sexual restrictions, like more so than like Christianity even,
Yeah.
Like they would do a lot of like routines. It would be based on, but this is what I talk about, patterns. Patterns are the most powerful thing. If you want to take command of your life, you have to like utilize patterns.
Yeah.
And the most tangible human manifestation of patterns is routine. I would not have gotten good at swordsmanship unless I routinely
practice. Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten music unless I routinely practiced music. I wouldn't have gotten good at like fucking editing video unless I routinely did podcast episodes. Like it's just really, patterns do make your reality. And once people realize that, dude, you're gonna see a whole different world. You're gonna see just like dumb, like just regular fucking people like doing pull-ups in the street, like off things like every single day at the same hour at the same time. And then they're like, because they're gonna realize, like, to empower themselves, they think empowerment is just not doing anything, or empowerment is doing something like random and different every fucking day and spot. No, real power comes from limiting yourself, but limiting yourself in a way,
clever ways,
that's conscious to you.
Yes.
That you did yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think limitations promote the most creativity, though.
It does, definitely. You see this in any attempt to burst past any limitations leads to a lot of stagnation or
music,
tiresome stuff.
Video games.
Overly indulgent, overly tiresome, boring.
Movies.
Yeah.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Like when, for example, video games were so much more artistic when all they had was like 16-bit cartridges to like make a fucking
the difference between sprites and various failed attempts at photorealism are so striking. It's so tiresome, any attempts at creating photorealism. It's a very masturbatory sink within video game design.
Well, it's a scarcity mindset, because to them, it's like, if we don't do this, if we don't make it as photorealistic as possible, then our competitor is going to make it as photorealistic as possible, and they're going to leave us in the dust, and we're not going to make any money. We're going to lose our jobs. We're going to lose our homes. Our wives are going to leave us. We're going to lose our kids. We're going to get into crack, and we're going to kill ourselves. It's all scarcity mindset. Like, it's all based on a fear of dying. All the worst shit happens from humans' output because we're just afraid to die.
Yeah.
But if we were less afraid to die and just more inclined to love, then things would get better. I do think love is the highest ideal for human. I mean, this is where I get into arguments with some people who are a lot smarter than me, and we kind of come into a stalemate, where it's like they think the highest ideal is truth. Yeah. I think the highest ideal is love. But then, like, you'd have the wisest person in the room who says, well, you can't have one without the other. You can't have truth without love, and you can't have love without truth anyway.
Yeah, and both end up on their own can lead to a lot of what's the word I want to use?
If anything, truth is love, and love is truth.
Malformations.
Oh. So you think, I mean, I think it's easy to say.
Someone who's too fixated on love or too fixated on truth is lacking something very strongly. And even a small addition of the other would contribute to their main
So you would hold them up at like a high enough standard to like give them that kind of like inclusive relationship where it's like, if you focus too much on love, then you're probably lacking in truth. Or if you focus too much on truth,
I think I might a little bit. I'm not sure if they make necessarily a dyad like that, but I'm willing to consider it.
They're two of like the heavy contenders for like the most highest ideals.
Yeah.
the highest human ideal. I still think it's love. Really think it's love.
And both lead to dysfunctions, like someone who's overly pursuing the idea of being seen as a pursuer of truth can get into very strong falsehoods or just.
Because I think if you're a pursuer of love and you're given power, it's a lot safer. Whereas if you're idealize truth and you're given power, then you could do like a lot more awful things.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Because like if I see someone and I know, like if I could know 100% certainty that they idealize love above all else, I wouldn't mind giving them a gun. I wouldn't mind giving them secrets of the universe. I wouldn't mind giving them. I think this is why God bestows this shit upon people who idealize love. You know, like, not idolize love. They idealize love.
Yeah, they see it as a high virtue.
Yeah. And if anything, here's what I think. When it comes to love and unconditional love, I don't think any human vessel is capable of fully embodying unconditional love. I think unconditional love is only for God. And I think that's like, if we try to embody that, we end up disintegrating. You know, like we end up like vaporizing ourselves, literally, like in a way. However, I do think we can tap into unconditional love, and that is how we get virtues. Like we tap into that life stream and we get like loyalty. We tap into that life stream, we get sacrifice, we get responsibility, we get self-ownership, we get agency, we get like personal freedom, we get like gratitude. It's like unconditional love is this godly force that we can't contain it all ourselves. It's too much for us, but we could tap into it and get like beautiful things from it. Do you like that?
I do like it, yeah.
Because like you think about a person to say like I don't think there is such a thing as unconditional love for a human. However, I do think they could like access it, you know, like tap into it, you know, kind of channel it.
Perhaps for your children, but yes.
For your country?
Some people might reach that state, though many don't.
Or through warfare, like...
Yeah, being within that kind of altered state, that kind of means of living or existing.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is very standard to say, but like Storm of Steel by Younger, he talks about this a lot, about war as a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And how he was narrowly dodging death, often just by luck or seemingly luck all the time. His sense of unity with his fellow soldiers,
it's like
but also with the French and British.
It's like the weak of soul get eviscerated and the strong of soul become elevated to some untouchable degree. Yeah. Because you know why? War and love are the only places in life where men can truly express themselves.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely express themselves. And it's only through war and love.
Those most intense experiences of...
I mean, do I want to go to war? No. But would I shy away from it if I got drafted? Definitely fucking not. I wouldn't shy away from it.
I feel the same way.
I mean, I would like to think
I mean, if I was drafted, I would just end up in some logistics position anyway. But I wouldn't shy. So? I think so.
I think they would have so many smart people to fill up those logistic positions. Even people as smart as you and me would just get thrown in the front lines.
It depends on how badly they need manpower on the front line.
I think the only war that would be bad enough for us to get like really heavily drafted like that, would be South America. If war broke out with like South American cartels who managed to like...
I feel like that's something they could handle with our current military manpower.
No, we can't.
Maybe with a draft of certain people, but...
No, South America is no joke. You know why?
Cartels...
Throughout all the countries in South America, like the Southern Hemisphere and in the American side of the world, their toughest military elements are literally trained and taught by our toughest.
At the same time, they lack a bunch of... Even though they can be very fantastically wealthy, they're still lacking a lot of material compared to our government.
That's not true. They have all the material. No, they would lack material if they came here. But they wouldn't. That's not how the war. That's not what the war would be about. The war wouldn't be about taking over North America. The war would be about South America is a big fucking problem for everyone right now.
What's the population of all the cartels added together? And also, they're all going to be fighting each other. But
I have no idea actually. But you know what else? You know what else is a big problem? The cartels are so flush with money. They could literally probably employ like third world countries to fight for them.
Yeah, they probably can get in mercenaries or whatever that way.
That's
but
the biggest
still
problem.
Burn through money.
And this is why the war would get out of hand, not in a nuclear sense, but in a pure manpower sense, because they're gonna realize, yo, holy shit, like this, we're losing a lot. Like, I mean, think about like, yeah, we send like mercenaries to the Middle East, whatever. You know, the companies, the private security companies, they're really just mercenary bands.
Yeah, they are.
They're like
private military contractors.
They're like
PMCs.
American French Foreign Legion, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those guys are veterans of the armed forces. They are very
good. They're
good,
so good that they do it voluntarily. They don't do it out of a like just to
okay, you have two filters. You have already a lot of those guys are military veterans.
And they have what else are they going to do?
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that it's already selected out people who joined the military and then either couldn't cut it,
or they
didn't
weren't
want to be in combat, or what?
Or they weren't white enough.
Yeah, or there's a decent number of Latinos in it.
No, I bet, you know what? I bet
military guys.
I bet there are Latino companies, like primary Latino companies. I bet there are primarily Aryan Brotherhood, like fucking companies.
I feel people who fight in active combat among American military, it's heavily slanted towards whites and Latinos.
Of course.
There's also a disproportionately high number of Native Americans. Mind you, there's so few Native Americans, but it ends up like special forces are often around, and often these people are mixed too. But special forces ends up being like 5% of the people have tribal membership. Admittedly, those people are like 1/4 Native, 3/4 white, a bunch of them. Yeah. But still, there's a heavy selection into that.
Yeah. So yeah, a war in South America would definitely be like a cause. I mean, it would be like an unconventional draft. It wouldn't be like a Vietnam type draft.
Yeah.
It would be something weird and different. It would be like, are you having trouble paying off your college loans?
That'd be very reasonable too. Yeah. Well, you just incentivize people, much like they currently incentivize.
And it's like, yeah, do your part, and they would sell it as like a war on like gang drug dealers.
Yeah.
Shit, you know, like people like that prey, and they wouldn't be wrong. Like people that do prey on the innocent.
They do. I'm looking at my phone.
However,
go on.
The only problem is the war that they would incite through such propaganda will be way worse than just letting the cartels like exist in their countries. You know. But yeah, I could see this. That would be the only case for any kind of war in this world that I could think that would be that's likely to be that bad, where we would get like any kind of draft. I mean, there is also the case for the war in like the possible war in Taiwan. But
yeah, I don't think China's actually going to invade because I think China is too risk averse. Yeah, they're too risk averse. I think people are overhyping how willing China is going. Look at COVID policy. China was locked down until 2023.
If Taiwan got invaded, that's world war. That's truly the end of the world.
Yeah,
I cannot envision a scenario of China invading Taiwan, and there wouldn't be any nukes popping off. Like I cannot see that happening.
Let's see. Mexican drug cartels estimate of 175,000 people working for the drug cartels.
That's
in Mexico.
That's such a small. That's not. I don't think that's a real number.
That's not for all of Latin America. That's for Mexico.
I think there's way more than that in Mexico.
What do you want? Double that?
How many people are in Mexico?
Let's see. I know this is a very interesting thing, but keep talking as I look up these.
All right, so
we're just guessing about what Mexican drug cartels are like.
So what you do is, if you want to figure out the manpower of the cartels, I would say first start with the entire population of Mexico. Divide that by
127 million people are in Mexico.
Okay, so what you do is you divide that number by half, right? So what does that leave us with? Like 63 million people?
Yeah.
63 million men. And then you subtract the half that's like fighting age. Like anywhere between the age of 10 to 17 and up.
Mexico's getting a bit older, but let's see. So the male population, let's say from the ages of like 65 million. And then half of that, let's say 32 million males of fighting age.
And then that's how you would that's how many potential cartel members you would have.
You're saying any single military age male in Mexico is a potential cartel member?
Potential. So now let's think like likelihood. So what is the likelihood that all 32 million? It's like not much. So we'd have to subtract that percentage. And this is where it's an easier number to work with, right? 32 mil.
Yeah.
So like let's divide that further into profiles. Like how many of those guys would be happy enough with their lives or not feel forced to? Like how many of them are poor? Let's start with that. How many of the 32 million of those fighting age men are like living
Mexico's
in
really come up economically. It's still just
so we're only talking about like what 6 million maybe who are actually like in poverty out of the 32 million men.
If that even, I mean, a bunch of those people are poor by American standards, obviously, but they're nowhere near
Mexican standards.
Yeah,
like really poor.
Another factor is, I think poverty isn't even as big of a factor as it is lineage and personality type.
Oh,
you know, let me put it this way: you could fit the profile in all these other ways for a cartel.
Okay. So then let's go back to the number of men. How many of them are like alcoholics? How many of them drink alcohol? How many of them do you think have like self-esteem, masculinity issues? See, this is why I like the number 32 million, because like if you start with the first population, you could subtract it, and 32 million is better to work with.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun, you know, like
military age men in Mexico is our estimated guess for 32 mil.
Yeah. How many of them are alcoholics?
Right, probably a decent chunk.
Yeah, like at least 15 million of fighting age men. At least half are alcoholics.
How many of those guys joined the cartels?
Let's be generous. Let's say a third are like avid alcohol enthusiasts.
Okay, so 10 million.
10 million men.
How many of those guys would rather go to America and be an Uber Eats driver?
6 million.
It's definitely higher than
6 or 7 million, 6, 7, 8 million maybe.
That is preferable to being a cartel member for most guys.
I would say 8 million out of the 10 million of that number.
Yeah, just go to America, legally immigrate.
So that leaves us, maybe that's even not enough. Maybe 9 million would rather.
Yeah. Because, you know, being in crime, that's a scary thing. That's a harsh thing.
Let's say just to be like 9 million.
I think 9 million is way closer because the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
To be a professional criminal, it is often because you want to hurt people.
We're not there yet. Right now, we're just talking about only like a million guys who'd rather be poor, an alcoholic, and stay in
Mexico as opposed to going to America.
So they're nationalists of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you divide that even further by how many of them have jobs and how many of them are unemployed. So I'd say about like 30% of them are unemployed.
Yeah.
So that's 300,000. You know what? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually, we've cut it down. So we come around like, it's still a huge number.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a bunch of guys who'd otherwise be like layabout losers or just petty criminals instead get funneled into cartels.
Yeah.
So maybe
maybe 100,000 is actually a good number.
No, it's 175,000.
So it's almost
200,000. That seems pretty reasonable.
We actually managed.
Yeah, I think it's actually true. Actually, after we go through it, So let's highball it at 200,000.
Yeah, I would say like the real number is probably at around 200,000.
Yeah.
Damn. These things really aren't that hard to figure out.
You can kind of just like back of envelope estimate.
Yeah. You could probably do this to China's probably a lot harder. It's probably like it's probably a lot harder.
China's probably lying about its population number. It lies about everything, right? Lies about its GDP.
Is it? I don't know. Why would they lie? Wouldn't they want to like tell the truth and be proud of that? I don't know anything about China.
I think they have a tendency towards all the face saving stuff, all of the presenting a good look, like almost compulsively. They just out of anxiety want to look good.
Yeah,
it's things.
Well, you know what? All right. So here's the thing about China. Unlike Mexico, when China has an influx of fighting age males, they just throw them in the military.
Yeah,
like they don't let them like stay in the streets. Like they're like, nope, you're joining the military, bud.
Yeah.
Like they'll go up to families before this even happens and it's like, oh yeah, I see your kids slacking off, like based on their social credit reports, they're just playing video games all day. Your son's gotta go to the military. And she's like, thank God. The mother's like, thank God, because they know the war's not gonna
shame upon the family. Yeah,
war's not gonna pop off for the Chinese military anytime. I mean, what has the Chinese military been doing? Have they been operating out of South America or some shit?
No, they're very locally focused. They only care about Asia.
What do they do? Fight Filipino rebels or some shit?
They get into those brawls with the Indian army in the Himalayas. You know about those?
Yo, that's mad funny.
Do you know about those, man?
Could you imagine like Pajit commandos going to war with Chinese like fucking berets?
No, that's
so sick.
No, dude. They don't use guns. They literally get into martial arts fights or melee fights. Like, I'm serious. No, not even martial arts. They literally make homemade weapons. They have a rule. We can kill each other in limited numbers.
Not with guns?
Not with guns because they don't want to escalate it. So mostly it's like fist fights to start off with, but it's moved up to them making like spears.
Blood sport shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so they have like Chinese versus like Sikh Punjabi guys, and the Punjabis are kicking ass, but then the regular Indian troops get swapped.
Action, dude. If I could go with a katana,
they're in the Himalayas too. They're in the Himalayas, so it's snowy all around them. It's mountainous. Man,
that's beautiful.
And they're getting into like fist fights or like
sword fights.
Yeah.
Yo, I'll be in there like swimwear. I'll probably get my ass killed as fuck, dude. Like,
Yeah,
even
they
if I
can have,
won, like, they'd be like,
double-
we don't know who this American kid is. Let's just fucking put a
They don't
bullet
get-
in this guy's head.
They
Like,
don't get up to 3-digit casualties, but they'll have like 2-digit casualties in their fights.
that makes sense. Like, yeah, I mean, I bet a bunch of people of prominence even go there to like observe and shit.
Mm-hmm. There's videos of it. It's interesting. It's very interesting. The dynamic at play there. But otherwise, let's see. China, yeah, that's all they've done. Because otherwise, what was their last war when they did their failed invasion of Vietnam in the 70s? Like after America, after America left in the 1970s, Vietnam, after it conquered the whole country, invaded Cambodia to depose the Khmer Rouge regime, the communist Cambodian regime.
It didn't work.
No, it did work, but Cambodia was supported by the People's Republic of China, so they sent an invasion force into Vietnam and got beaten back. And it was really Looney Tunes shit because, like, the Chinese were giving like guys who were used to driving like tractors but had never driven a tank before control of a tank, and then they were trying to go over a wooden bridge and it was just collapsing because it wasn't meant for the weight of a tank.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have proper training, or like guys were trying to ride on top of the tank but they went too fast so they flew off them.
Oh no. Yeah, I love the Chinese, man. They're so cool. I mean, they're just everything. They're cool, they're goofy, they're scary, they're just everything. And like the Chinese women could be like busted or banging, like
and there's a billion of them.
I love Chinese women too. Like some of them are so awesome and fucking. I've been with some Chinese girls. You know, like I've been in it with some hot Chinese women. They're great. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
Yeah, it's a fascinating. I mean, when you have a billion people, you just have a very, very
diverse.
Even if you're a very what's the word I want to use, conformist society such as theirs, there's still a lot of variety there.
Oh yeah, bro. Imagine if you and I lived in China for a year.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so sick. If I could find a way to get us funded to do Terrorisk for a year in China.
That'd be fascinating. Yeah, we're all walking around in like Ming Dynasty robes.
Dude, you know what's awesome about this?
What?
We could do this when we're in our 30s, or we could do this when we're 40s or 50s. It would still be a good fucking time.
It would be. That's true. That's a good point.
Yo, I'm going to try to make this happen. We got to figure out how to like live in China. Maybe not for a year, but like 2 months.
That'd be fun or interesting. I mean, there's all these new cities being built. Even in obviously established places.
Yeah, we probably get a nice place for cheap.
Yeah, if you go out to like the right areas, yeah.
If we had enough revenue with the podcast, that'd be sick.
That'd be fun, yeah. Just awesome. Life in China, like, and they love their.
All right, guys, if you're watching,
Weibo videos about foreigners in China.
If you're watching, the Patreon link is in the description. So.
Yeah,
help us fund this.
Help us fund our trip to China.
Yeah, let us live in China for 2 months, and we'll do the podcast from there, and it'll be the same deal. Weekly episodes from China, though.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would go on a tear with Chinese hoes.
Be curious just to see up close what it's like.
Oh my god, you know how many Chinese girls would be all over you? They'd be like, "Yo, look at this fucking Nigel
they would,
Thornberry.
I suppose.
Look at I gotta fuck this guy."
Yeah.
They'll be like, dude, I gotta fuck this intellectual Steve Irwin looking dude. Like, he's like, you're like something out of a nature documentary.
Yeah, I know. As they're on the hunt for giant white cock or whatever.
What? No, on the hunt for some Chinese mushu. Mushu, you hungry? No, man, mushu.
Yeah,
women. You know what that's from?
What?
Russia.
Oh yeah, fuck! I forgot Rush Hour.
Come on, man, I'm in Hong Kong. I want some mushu. And he's like,
yeah,
mushu, you hungry?
Yeah.
He's like,
race relations got a lot worse in America when we stopped making interracial buddy cop comedies.
Well, all right. So the two big ones were, first of all, there was Rush Hour series, and then there was Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights.
Yeah. Well, the original one is Lethal Weapon.
No, Lethal Weapon 4. Oh, you mean like races
the first
in general?
one?
Yeah. The first one. Lethal Weapon 4 did a twist by adding the Asians.
Yeah, I did. I know that's your favorite. I love Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 in particular.
I mean, first of all, I love every Lethal Weapon movie.
Yeah,
but
I forgot 3 totally, but yeah.
But Lethal Weapon 4 gave us Jet Li.
Yeah, that's true. American introduction. Yeah.
I think Lethal Weapon 3 had the hottest woman. No, I think it was Lethal Weapon 1 that had the hottest chick. Who's the chick that died? Like Mel Gibson's chick.
Oh, you just see her in photographs.
Oh,
But I'm trying to remember. Yeah, no. I guess Danny Glover's daughter is pretty
it was
hot.
a very interracial. It was a bit. That was a pro interracial.
Yeah, it was very much of its time of 80s America. It felt very much of its time that way.
Hells yeah.
And like the black guy is older, more mature, responsible. He has a family. He has
the
a
80s
bourgeois
was like
life.
the golden era of racial relations.
Oh, definitely.
You
I
had,
agree.
Like, you
yeah.
had, like black dudes in military movies ordering around young white bucks. You had like white dudes sacrificing themselves for their black friend. It was good. It was good shit.
Yeah, the original intention of Lethal Weapon 2 was that Mel Gibson was going to sacrifice himself to save Danny Glover.
You know what I think really did it too? It was when you saw like it was the buddy cop thing. It was when a black cop and a white cop partner up, and you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
First of all, it makes good television, no matter how you cut it. Like it makes fantastic television shows.
It's distinctly American. It's about forging a new path forward in American
and on
culture, racial relations.
And it's also a story. It's like it's kind of like the what's it called? Huckleberry? No, is it Huckleberry Finn?
Huckleberry Finn, yeah, with Huckleberry Finn and Nigger Jim.
That is literally what the story was, though, right?
Yeah.
Damn, what a controversial piece of literature.
Yeah. Well, honestly, these are more because that's commenting on pre-Civil War American South and dysfunction with America. This is a lot more optimistic. That Rocky movie, the Rocky movies.
Oh my god, that's good shit.
Yeah.
Remember Predator?
Yes.
Oh, that was awesome.
Multiracial, all-American badasses.
Well, there was also like the good interracial movies, but they were done in a depressing way. Like not Platoon, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Like that was depressingly pro interracial. You know, it's like at that point it was like nobody gave a fuck. They were just all dying.
Yeah.
Did you like that movie?
I do like Apocalypse Now, yes.
Did you like Platoon?
I like Platoon, yeah. Not as much. Apocalypse Now is the Vietnam movie I like the most. I like the fact that it's based on Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad.
But Platoon had better actors, I think.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Actually,
yeah,
no,
Sheen.
Apocalypse Now had, you know.
Brando. What? Charlie Sheen and Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he is being very campy in it, but yes.
Well, Marlon Brando is like, he's a one of a kind actor, kind of like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
you know, it's like some actors are just one of a kind. Like you'll never get something like that ever again.
Modern actors really lacking. Strongest I can think of, or one of the strongest, would be like Adam Driver. I'm very fond of, but even then, he's not up to that level.
What
but
about
I like
Ryan
him.
Reynolds?
I hate Ryan Reynolds.
What about
Ryan Gosling? I like.
What?
I like Ryan Gosling, but his range is kind of limited too.
Ryan Gosling's, I think, just introverted.
Yeah, he is. He just alternates between movies for girls and movies for autistic men.
Yeah. I think someone who's really unique and underrated, but I think in like years down the line we're gonna realize how good he actually was. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I could see that. He hasn't done anything in a while. Like he did Don John, which is a good movie.
He never did anything I didn't like.
Yeah,
I can't recall a single thing that he was in. I mean, he was in shitbag movies. I get it, but he didn't. He didn't do a bad job.
He was such a big deal, and then he really fell off.
I don't think he was ever a big deal, but I love him. I love his.
I mean, he was in the Dark Knight Returns. He's.
I think he played Commissioner Gordon.
No, he played Robin in that.
Oh yeah, okay.
But even that, it's like that's how prominent of a character he was. But yeah.
He was in some big shit. He was in Inception.
Mm-hmm.
He was in
in like early 2010s. He was big. 500 Days of Summer.
He was in some crazy fucking movies. He was in Looper.
Yeah,
Looper was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I love Looper.
His passion project was Don John, that movie about the Guido who couldn't start John. Yeah, it's a great movie.
You know why I love that movie? I think about when I was doing the whole semen retention thing,
Yeah.
I thought about that movie a lot.
That makes a lot of sense. It's actually a very strong movie. It's just something that
honestly,
I guess no one wanted to see.
Fucked up because like it wasn't even like 2 weeks ago. I was like literally cleaning my apartment. I was like, holy shit, my life is becoming like Don Juan.
Yeah.
That movie. Except the porn thing I figured out sooner. But
Yeah.
but I thought about it a lot during the semen retention thing. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, I get it now. The Don Juan thing really was like a porn movie. It really was about like how porn is bad.
Yeah, it is. I think he produced it.
It's a good fucking movie.
Yeah, he produced it. Let me see. I think it might have even directed it. But it's fascinating that was something he was into. But,
No, it was a meaningful movie.
yeah, I agree.
In fact, I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt might be so good. He might be a reptilian. Like he's too powerful. He's too powerfully good, and yet he goes so like unspoken. You know who else is like that? Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell.
Yeah,
He's like the new Colin Farrell, if anything.
yeah. I would love to see him have a return.
I love Colin Farrell and everything. He's so good.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt directed Don John.
Yeah, it's a good fucking movie.
Directed it, and his feature directorial debut. He wrote it too.
So who do we got?
I'm sure it's based on his personal life.
And
yeah.
it was, and I bet he got the hottest. Like he got his fantasy bitches in that movie. He got
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, and then he also got his MILF mommy fantasy. Probably he's like, I've always wanted to work with her.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. 500 Days of Summer. That was a real success.
I don't.
7.5. Well, you don't like it?
I don't like it.
Why?
It's like fucking played out. Like what's it called? Like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Yeah, it's true.
Mind.
Well,
It's
you have to
like-
remember it came out in 2009, so it was
one of
like
those-
the
it's one of
perfect
those-
time for it to come out.
It's just one of those bitch movies. I'm like,
Yeah, I can see it. I like it a lot. I like it.
it's like having an iPhone. You know? I'm
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Budget 7.5 million, box office 60 million. What is Joseph Gordon? Oh, he has kids now. He got married and
What's the race of his wife?
looks
I bet
Irish.
It's a blonde woman.
Tasha McCauley.
Is she blonde?
Let's see. She married 2014. He has 3 kids. Maybe just focus on being a dad. No, she's like she has black hair. She's Jewish. Let's see. Hold on, fuck me. Oh, he was a child actor, huh?
Oh, okay. So he's got pedigree.
No, she looks like it. You know what she looks like?
Let me see. Oh, she's mid. He likes them.
Yeah.
He likes them mid. He likes them bad.
Yeah.
Mid. Oh, she's nice though.
Yeah, I wonder if she's. You know what's weird about her is that she looks like she should have a shit ton of tattoos.
You know what I also think? I think
Like it's really surprising she doesn't have tattoos.
I also think he picked the girl that would never fuck him over.
Yeah,
She's like not. She's like a really normal girl, you know.
yeah. Let's see. if
She's like the most normal girl.
She looks like she might be, but let me see.
Oh, you're trying to look at the early life.
Yeah, I'm trying to early life. Okay, yeah. You know, anti-Semites are fixated too much on billionaires and not fixated enough on Joseph Gordon-Levitt's wife, whether she's Jewish. Let's see. Jewish.
Like no one thinks about like everyone always thinks about Leonardo DiCaprio girlfriend's like age, but they don't think about whether or not she's Jewish.
I'm looking on people all about Tasha McCauley.
She's Irish. She's not Jewish.
I know Irish name, but I'm just looking at her face. Maybe it's a mom. Met through mutual friends. Outside of Hollywood. Wow, she is a normal woman.
There you go.
He for a while wouldn't talk about him. Let's see. Mom of 3. Yeah, they're pumping out kids. Oh wow, a couple have not released their children's names or photos by design.
Oh, he's
Wow, really smart that he's keeping his kids out of the public spotlight. Wow, you're right. Yeah,
I have good instincts about actors. I said because everyone's like, oh, Keanu Reeves. I'm like, fuck that guy. He's a fucking tool. Yo,
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's the man.
Oh, interesting. His wife is is in like Silicon. He has his wife works in Silicon Valley. in
Oh, she's a
various-
serious bitch.
Yeah, she's
Yo, you know,
also maintains a private life.
you know what'd
Interesting.
be fucking nuts if he was the himbo in the relationship.
Maybe that's the case.
That would be fucking that would be ridiculous. Like
she's into tech and AI, huh?
She's probably the boss bitch in the relationship, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my little actor boyfriend, Joseph Gordon-Levitt." You know, like
that's actually that's a power move to be a big tech woman, and then you marry you wrangle up a guy who was a romantic lead,
and he's like,
in 2010.
I had such dreams to play like sick movies and go to sick parties, but my wife, she's too powerful. She just
maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just found what he wanted, which was to have. His granddad was a theater actor, and he was a child actor too. He began his acting.
He's got a pedigree.
Yeah, that's a really significant move. Maybe it's because he grew up in Hollywood. He wanted to be over it and instead just date a really smart woman.
But he's such a good-looking guy, though.
Yeah,
that's weird. You know what I think his next big
thing? His older brother died in 2010 from injured in some way, like fell and hit his head while he was high on ketamine.
He killed him.
Yeah.
He killed his brother.
Founder and CEO of technology company Fellow Robots is what his wife runs.
He killed his
brother.
They
have 3 kids. Latest one born in 2022. Interesting. Pasadena. Oh, wow. He's a Silicon Valley adjacent guy. He's into effective altruism.
What a freak.
Yeah, that is actually a really freak move. Interesting. He does all of his roles, a lot of his roles, he just does voice acting now. Probably records from the house or whatever.
Dude, he's just doing acting for money. He doesn't give a fuck about acting. He's literally doing this shit for cash.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing he probably ever cared about was Don Juan. Like,
yeah.
He probably doesn't give a fuck about any of this shit.
Yeah.
Damn. He's a player.
Yeah, a lot of voice acting, surprisingly, after a certain point. Or that, a lot of appearing on like Sesame Street and stuff. Probably because he's doing it for his kids. Yeah.
You know how you know he never sold out? You never saw him in Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, or a Marvel movie.
Definitely a Marvel movie. Yeah, I never saw him in that.
But you never saw him in Star Wars. Was he in Star Wars?
No.
He'd be great in Star Wars, too.
Yeah.
Imagine Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a Jedi. Like, that would be great.
Yeah.
I would love that. And I'm surprised it hasn't happened, honestly. Because it can easily happen, I'm sure. I'm sure they could offer him, like, it's like, we'll give you, like, $2 billion. I don't know. Maybe not $2 billion, but we'll give you, like close to $100 million if you do this. Like,
yeah, interesting.
Could you imagine him in Lord of the Rings though? That would be sick too.
What, like one of the new Rings projects? Yeah, no, God, that'd be awful.
But Star Wars would be like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MCU, Marvel is really something to mention because Marvel just picks up so many prominent actors and puts them into boring roles.
Yeah, but they give them good money.
Yeah.
And also, it hasn't been like, I mean, what's the big thing now? Deadpool and Wolverine, which is like turning out to be really good, apparently.
It's a big financial success. I guess I'll watch it streaming or whatever.
Well,
I'm so burned out on all.
Yeah, but I'm sure
shit.
I'm sure this is gonna have so much fan service that even you will be like, oh, this is pleasantly surprising.
I don't know. I think I could only groan more and more as opposed to being.
No, I think they'll surprise you. Because remember, we're talking about at this point. There's such a huge like lexicon of mythology. You know, like it's becoming its own archetypal like.
It is
thing, you know.
I mean, they've had whiff after whiff for a long while, having consistent.
Yeah, but now when you think
films.
of Marvel movies, they're coming up with like the Sony Marvel movies, the Fox Marvel movies, the Marvel Studios Marvel movies, but they're colliding. It's like and it's even self-referential. You know what? It is kind of redundant, but
it is really redundant. It's like, oh boy, 20 years of this bullshit.
Yeah. But I think we're about ready for a break.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we're back. And you said you had something to say.
Yeah. All right. So imagine you're just a guy who has no interest in big franchises, in Marvel, in Star Wars, in Alien. And yet, routinely, whenever one of these movies comes out, you are bombarded with references to it. Advertisements, promoted material on Twitter, on social media, other people talking about it. If you have no interest in Wolverine versus Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine, whatever it's called, and suddenly it just dominates the cycle for a while. I'm sure that's very irritating. There used to be a time, and it's hard to believe if you're younger, there used to be a time when an adult could go multiple years perhaps without ever thinking about Batman's villain, the Joker. Now, even if you're someone totally disinterested in comic books and Hollywood, whatever, you're going to be hearing about the Joker at least monthly.
I got something disturbing to like relate to you about.
Please.
What you just said. So I didn't talk about this with you like today while we were eating or in the car, but for the past 2 days, I went down like a YouTube rabbit hole, and it was like an internet rabbit hole, and there was this whole. Well, basically, I really got educated on like modern gang beef, like black gang beef, and apparently the craziest gangs in America right now, well, the most prominent that are linked to not just like gang violence and like this mafia gang shit, but also rap music and our culture and like how it affects our industry and like relations with celebrities and shit. So apparently the craziest gangs are posted up from like Chicago.
Right, makes sense.
And within Chicago, there's there was this one apartment complex called Parkview, which later became known as O Block.
Yeah.
And the whole story goes like with O Block, you know, these guys were apparently like so prominent because they were known by talked about. And this was like wasn't just gang shit. It was also gang social media internet era shit. So it was like a different element. Like it wasn't just a matter of like, yo, like, dude, I'm you know, like doing like 90s gangster shit. It was also like, bro, you said what about my set on that Instagram live bullshit? Bro, where you at right now? Oh, you on Instagram live right now? And you see them talk about like, yo, I don't give a fuck who pull up. I don't give a fuck who my ops are, yo. You could pull up right now. This shit, yo, I'm really about this shit. And they start like flashing guns and shit.
Yeah.
And dude, it ends more times than you would think, and like literal, like they pull up and they actually,
of course,
they shoot back.
And then the hilarious thing is that
no
the police,
arrests happen.
Yeah,
no arrests happen. It's even if people get killed,
it's well documented.
It's always
well
self-defense.
documented.
It's like, oh, in the video, it's like you saw he shot, right? It was self-defense, right?
Yeah.
I walk. Even if they have bodies on, they walk every time, and it's like normal for them. Now, here's how it relates to what you were talking about. Now, what was really depressing and truly dark, what you were just talking about with the whole Marvel thing and all that shit, that's just fiction. That's all movie shit. That's movie lore. However, this shit is not movie lore, but it's coming to kids and their feeds as if it might as well be some fucking Marvel movie shit. We're talking about guys like, there's legends, there's names like King Von. Apparently this guy was like a crazy guy. In fact, I wouldn't even be comfortable. I don't know if I'm comfortable talking about him on the internet because he's apparently such a figure where it's like, I mean, he's passed away now. You know, he was tragically killed in some gang affiliated shooting, of course, you know, but he was apparently like one of the most prominent figures of Parkview and O Block. And I think it's not that like the whole O Block era or the O Block set or whatever. I don't think it's that they were the most deadliest gang in history. I think they happened to be the first prominent, violent, self-aware gang in the internet social media era. And they leveraged it better than anyone. You had rappers come out of that shit. Yeah. You had like dudes coming out of that specific block of Chicago, of the area, and literally like defining rap for like a decade. Yeah. This like all the O Block shit started before it was O Block, it was just Parkview. You know, and they called it like, I think it was like the jump no, it was called something. But then there was like this whole thing. There was this one kid. This all started with teenagers, right? Yeah. Back in like 2012 or 13, like teenagers, and there's this one kid named Odie Perry. And this kid was apparently, he's like the start of the Avengers of like this twisted black murderous serial killer shit. Anyway, he's like this kid Odie Perry. He starts, you know, he realizes like the kids in his Parkview apartment complex were getting bullied by like literal gangsters, like OGs and shit. Like they were abusing them every day, torturing them, you know? So they decided enough is enough. And they realized the only way we could get them to stop is to unify. Like if you're like a young teen from Parkview complex, and you're afraid, and you're like tired of getting fucked with every day, you come and you join us. And the deal was, you join, no matter what's going down. If you get fucked with by, you're walking home from school or whatever, we will always come to get your back. And it was a good number of kids in that apartment, so they had numbers. But then like, the thing was also like, you can't ever betray us either. It's like, if you ever betray us, we will put you in the dirt. So this happened for years, and they went through high school like this. And this is like hundreds of kids at this point, right? Borderline like connected to this shit. And like, eventually it got to a point where it's like, dude, we're like juniors in high school and seniors in high school. It's like, it got to a point where they were like, it wasn't enough to just like fight. Like, then they had to get guns. They were like, dude.
Yeah, it escalates, cycle of violence.
Yeah,
but also,
so
yeah.
They were literally like, dude, we're not doing fighting anymore. We're not doing these fights. We're now pulling sticks on them. We're pulling out the ratchets. We're pulling out the fucking hammers. And they killed this one kid named Tuka. And he was part of a rival set. And these rival sets also produced like prominent rappers from the Chicago drill scene, right? Mm. And that started the whole gang war. It's just like any other typical gang war in like any other ghetto, but the difference was, this is the first set of groups like that were at war in Chicago, which was like already a murder capital of America. They happened to utilize a lot of Instagram Live. I'm serious. It's like, you would have cases where it's like videos of like, up and coming young rappers. They made a lot of money, not just from rapping, but they would be always like, yo, I just caught a lick. And he'd be flashing like a $10,000 chain or whatever, right? And in the middle of the IG Live, some kid like opens the door, up all that with the Goonie mask, the shy stick. And then he's like, takes the gun back and like shoots him. Like, this is all happening on Instagram Live. Always beats the charge, of course. And of course, these kids,
being the charge part,
but like this got them viral on like social media. But what got them famous is that they dabbled in rap music. There's like a pipeline of like hoodlum, murderous, gangster, demon child, right, into rap like really quickly. And once they got into the rap industry and made money like in connections like with like heavy duty hitters, they didn't stop gangbang. Like, they didn't stop with the fucking shooting. They didn't stop with the fucking like guns and gang wars. They didn't stop. And you know why this is a closed loop? Here's where it closes. Guess what? You never hear about them because right as they're about to get big, guess what happens?
They get killed. So just the same thing happens in the UK very strongly with UK drill, where they're like writing songs about killing.
And they get stabbed.
Yeah. Or they get busted by the cops.
Also, they're always on TikTok or Instagram Live, and there was like, yo, my ops can't eat. My ops are scared. I'm in the neighborhood right now. No mask. See? No mask. And they ain't doing shit. And you see all the lights popping up in the revenue. And then all of a sudden, like, the phone drops. And you hear, like, gunshots and screaming. And it's like,
yeah.
There that goes. And you know what? This creates even more interest. Like, people love this shit. They cannot get enough of this shit.
I could see it.
They call it trapology.
Yeah. It's interesting because also the dynamic.
I mean, it's depressing because it literally plays out like going back to what you were saying before, like Marvel movie shit. This is like the reason. It's like the same kind of.
I see. It's social media hype,
and it's so depersonalized.
For in this case, the lifestyle rather than for whatever movie is about to come out.
And like high school kids from like fucking like Oakland or fucking like Colorado, like Boulder Springs or whatever, like. Whatever fucking Midwest like semi-urban area, whatever, even if it's New York, even like the Bronx, like they're all under this like influence of like
they're being influenced by this social media spell.
Right as gangster rap was about to die, it was becoming more artistic, and it's becoming social media just added where it's like
I see, adds fuel to the fire or finds an alternate form because gangster rap itself has died out. It's for old guys.
It went from like record label shit to like, yo, bro, I be killing up. You see like a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 15-year-old kid with guns and shit's like, yo, I just got 2 bodies. Watch me beat the case, cuz. Watch you beat the case, and he whips out like a sack of cash, and he's got face tattoos. And you're like, what? And then you go on YouTube, and he's got rap music, and it actually sounds good. Yeah, and you're like, that's like a toxic swirl of like attention and like violence. Yeah, insane shit. And we wonder like what the black kids are up to. This is the shit they're up to, man. I mean, not all of them. I don't mean there's
it's like, minority, but still. It's an interesting dynamic with internet affecting our real lives.
It's mostly a poverty thing, I think. Because like, I mean, what else are they gonna do? It's like, yo, dude, if this rap shit don't like, I got like 12 bodies on me, I got 12 hats on me, man, and they're just like sipping lean, passing out in the studio, and they know they got some skill, but it's like, yo, bro, this shit has to work for me, bro. If this shit don't work out for me, bro, and they just nod out, like,
Yeah, well, they're just very.
and guess what? 9 out of 10 of them, they die.
Yeah,
9 out of 10 of them, they end up fucking dead.
Yeah,
after
it has
leaving
a low
behind like 2-3 like million hits, like they're done. They always get shot in the stupidest way. Like they were just were just dropping their girl off to get chicken, and they were sitting in the car, and then all of a sudden like pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
And you never even know who did it. They always have like the ski masks on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a profoundly stupid. I mean,
And
there's
they always
many things they can
Yo,
do.
and
It's
these
just not
teeny-
as exciting.
And these like Florida, Chicago, Colorado, whatever, Atlanta teenagers, they got so good at killing. You know what? They got it down to a system. It's like first we steal the car, so that like, you know, whatever they trace us, whatever cameras were, and we stay in the car. And we always got masks on, and you know the masks are normal now. Like
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
COVID normalized a bunch of this because
Also,
it made
yeah.
mask wearing
And
normalized.
the athletic ski masks, like
Yeah.
the Nike shit, that just became a fashion thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You see like guys wearing ski masks down the runaway. All right, you know, it's guess it's fashionable now, which
Yeah.
just enabled this shit.
We
Anyway.
did COVID mask allowances allowing a upswing in crime will be talked about in 10-20 years, but yes.
So yeah, they got this shit down to a science. They call it drilling. It's like, they talk about how their OGs, their YGs and their OGs taught them how to drill. You know, it's like they taught you where to aim. You know, they taught you the time of day, how to catch them lacking by looking at their social media, all that
Yeah.
shit. Like, I don't mean to talk like them, but this is how they describe it. You know, it's like, oh, to catch them lacking means like to catch them unawares. Like, you know, if you live in the same like city as your ops, quote unquote,
Yeah.
you're gonna know where they all go to court at every certain day, and then you just post up there, wait till they get out of court, wait till they
And
go.
yeah, it's a very easy thing to escape if you wanted to. They don't want to in part.
No, that's the
You
weirdest.
move to another city and you're fine. You won't like it.
But they
as
come
much.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what usually happens, like let's say you're from Chirac.
Yeah.
okay? You do your shit. And if you do get big, the first place you move to is Atlanta. But the problem is you move to Atlanta and it's no better in Atlanta. It's like, it's just as thugged out. It's just as gangsta. And you still end up going back to Chicago anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
You got to
you
play.
move. You should move to like
California.
a college town. You should
California,
move,
bro.
Yeah, California. Or move to
Arizona, California.
Yeah, move to a white heavy area, white and Hispanic heavy area, and then just be a friendly black guy. Sell weed at MedMen. Go to a college town like Ann Arbor.
Actually, there was a tragic tale. One of the OGs of O Block,
Yeah.
Parkview, was from Chicago, that legendary ghetto of the
Yeah.
social media gangsta era. Like, apparently, he was a smart kid in school, and he managed to go to college in California.
Yeah.
Or no, I think it was West Illinois or some shit. And apparently he went through anxiety because of like all the murders he witnessed when he was like in high
Yeah.
school and junior high school. And instead of like giving him treatment, they like called the cops on him and shit, called security on him, banned him from their dorm rooms, arrested him. And he had to go to Obla. He got to go back to his, and guess what he did? He started banging. You know,
Yeah.
he started gang banging. And like, you know, what's scarier is like back in the 90s, you look at these dudes' faces, they look like grizzled, like old
Yeah.
killers. These people look like kids. Like,
Yeah,
they
because
look
everyone looks younger, more neotenous
like,
now.
these
Yeah.
motherfuckers look like children, and they are children. They're like
Yeah.
19, 20, 21. It's like, yo, they're talking about like, yo, I have 10 hats on me. I like when they have like take Instagram photos of hats, those are their bodies. Like that's
Yeah.
how many people they killed and got away with. Like, and it's easy to get away with. Like, apparently, this is the way gangsters get away with killing. It's if they shoot back, it's like self-defense.
Right.
And usually it's all on camera too. So it's like it only like makes it like, yeah, shoot me. Oh, dude, I shoot you and I won't miss. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you don't miss.
That low clearance rate, snitches get stitches mentality, things like that lead to a low clearance rate.
Yeah.
Social justice concerns, all that.
Well, anyway, I mean, what the whole back to what I'm saying. It's like even like the like actual ruthless, murderous youth violence in America has been
social media is turned into a hype cycle, turned into content.
Mythologize.
It's content for your feed.
Yep.
Murder content for your
feed. And like
feed.
all the dudes who make the YouTube videos, like these YouTube documentaries, they're all like these European guys with like Nike ski masks on and glasses, and they look like dorks, but they're all about it. Like they know more than I did, and I live in this fucking country. You know, like shit. Like they
this is their autistic special interest, so it makes sense.
But it's also the gangsters themselves enabled this by doing all this shit
documenting it,
on the fucking internet. On the internet. Do you know what crash out means?
No, what does that mean? It means like you burn out, dying.
No, it means when you do something insane and stupid, like you see like on Instagram Live, like you think this sounds ridiculous, but when I wouldn't have believed this either until I saw the footage. Like dudes get on Instagram Live, like driving around in a stolen car in like Florida.
Yeah.
It's like, I just stole a whip, and he's got a gun. He's like, I'm about to shoot random ass motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck. And
they're just living out a Grand Theft Auto fantasy.
Yes.
They are literally dumb enough that they actually are they're suggestible
and
enough. They follow
and
Grand Theft Auto.
And like when they get clapped, they don't get clapped by like feds. They don't get clapped by cops. They get clapped by ops.
Yeah.
Like who were watching that Instagram feed, and they were like, because they know he's getting clout by crashing out, by being a crash out. And he's like, yo, I'm gonna crash him out. You know, I'm gonna take. So
crashing out is just the black equivalent of being a spree shooter,
like falling down.
Yeah.
But what's insane to me is that you would think like cops would be all over this or whatever. No. Before the cops are even like informed this is the first people that get to it are paramedics who respond to the dead killer. Like, they're like, it's good before anyone even calls or reports it.
Yeah.
Some other gangster who's watching the feed's like, yo, I'm about to kill him for clout. Watch. I'm about to kill this fucking retard crash out idiot just for fun.
Yeah.
Not even out of a sense of justice. They're just like, dude, no, it's not like
it's just how the game works.
It's insanity.
Crashing out.
Crashing out, yeah. Look it up on Urban Dictionary. Let's see the definition. But yeah, it's like insanity to me. And I'm like, they do other shit too. It's like if you see someone from a rival set or some shit, they'll like in a McWendy's, they'll put you on Instagram while your face is on like the grill and shit. I'm like, these fuckers are psychotic.
To willingly or unwittingly enter into a situation knowing the outcome will not be good.
Crashing out, yeah, that makes sense.
To go insane or do something stupid. Jadari has killed someone for stepping on his shoes. Oh yeah, he really crashed out.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, like crashing out.
Act will result in a long prison sentence or death, most commonly used in NYC, though not exclusively. One who crashes out can also be called a crash dummy.
Yep, but the idea is if you survive it, you get a lot of clout, right?
All right.
Yeah, so crashing out is a big problem, especially because, first of all, these new gangsters, they're not sober most of the time. They're not like mafia-minded fucking dudes. They're like, they're empowered and enabled by abstracted internet power. It's not like loyalty power. It's internet influence power. Also, well, I mean, you know, like poverty protection and of all that, you know, old gangster rules when it comes to class still apply. However, it's now like what superpowers this crashing out is mostly the idea of, yo, millions of people are watching me kill people, bro.
Yeah, it's the most prominent crash out that you could possibly do. The sickest crash out is going into a crowd with pistols in your hands and opening fire.
Yep, absolutely.
A spree shooting is the ultimate crash out.
Isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
I mean, you're like going out there, it's like, yo, I don't give a and you're on Instagram, like you got a Glock switch in one hand, and then you got your phone in the other hand on Instagram Live, and you're just like letting rounds off on people. You're like, yo, I don't give a fuck. I'm a crash out king. I'm a crash dummy, motherfucker. I'm a rich crash dummy, son. Yeah. And they maybe they might be rich by then. Maybe they did make enough videos where they are getting like mad fucking bucks. You know, like this is the world we live in now, and nobody talks about it because why? The people that are dying they're already retarded. Honestly, let's be real.
They're retarded. If you show or see this, you realize how retarded the people doing this shit are. They really are.
But they're getting rewarded for it. and they're getting rewarded in a way where no one can be really culpable. It's not like a direct monetary reward.
There's no one you can directly penalize for it to stop it from happening. It's difficult to crack down on due to the First Amendment and due to social justice and a bunch of other dynamics.
It's insanity, dude.
It is insanity
clown
to
world.
allow this to happen. Yeah.
But this also feeds into the rap culture. Yo, first of all,
Yeah.
you know there's a reason why they say like 21 Savage is the John Wick of the rap industry? Because this motherfucker killed people. He fucking went out and did
Yeah.
the shit. He went out and like actually, and like the whole idea, the lingo is like sliding on ops. It's like, are you gonna slide for this motherfucker? Are you gonna slide for this N-word? You know, like,
Yeah.
are you gonna slide for me? You know, it's like you're gonna slide on. If you slide on someone, that means you're sliding on your ops. That means you're sliding over car hoods with pistols drawn, and you're like shooting people up. And like, you think this sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's what they do, and I'm like, I see this, and it doesn't look as glamorous as like a John Wick movie. But if you literally orally relayed what happened, you'd be like, yeah, he slid over feet first over a car hood with pistols drawn, shot at someone until he dropped dead, and then got back in the car and ran away.
Yeah.
That's like some John Wick shit, and that is the kind of
Yeah,
shit.
but with much lower firing accuracy.
Yes, but they do kill him,
They do kill, yeah.
and you know what's
You
actually
know what's really wild is that how gangbangers have an alternative form of marksmanship.
Well, here-
where there's just no aiming involved at all. But go
First
on.
of all, well, you're right. Absolutely. I don't disagree, but they are getting better. They are getting better, partially because of YouTube tutorials, which is funny. But however,
Is it because of Call of Duty? Are they maybe
No.
they're just picking up habits from video games that just naturally make them better
no,
shooters
there's
without
literally
practice?
YouTube tutorials on how to like fucking rack and like fucking
That makes
clear
sense.
and breach and clear and stack up. But what I'm saying, point is like, what's really changed from like now and back then was like we've had a decade now where
Yeah.
gangbangers were caught on camera constantly. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why they all wear masks now for sure. But gangbangers nowadays are literally caught on camera.
There's enough media
I mean,
influence
the
that
outfit
makes
is
them
simple. It's like-
engage in
it's
smarter
ath-
stuff.
It's tight, athletic, winter, fall sportswear
Yeah.
with the ski mask, and that's it. You just
Yeah.
come out with the Glock, and you look like any other scrawny, lanky black guy
Yeah.
with a gun. You know, honestly.
Any other black teenager who's naturally thin.
And they all look like they all look like someone who plays with some college basketball team. You know, and they
Yeah.
all just come out with pistols and they just shoot, and then they get back in the car and dip away.
Yeah.
It's a stolen car, so they can't even track the car. You know. So yeah, this is how they do it. I can't believe this shit. And what's even insane is like this is all on YouTube. This isn't even like secret, like top secret VHS underground shit. This is like this is TikTok shit, dude.
Yeah.
Instagram live shit. I'm like, holy fuck. These motherfuckers. This is why I play Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
I'm like, this literally might be the future that we're headed towards. This makes me like think like maybe I do need a gun. Like maybe I really do need a firearm. You know, like maybe I do need to arm myself. Like actually arm myself to not just for recreation, but to defend myself. You know, like I'm like,
You can open carry a Boken in New York, can't you?
it's not about that. It's like I just want something that's effective and reachable, and that I won't get in trouble
Yeah.
for. That's all I care about.
That's what I mean. You wouldn't get in trouble. Me, a katana, I'm sure, would violate the weapons codes of New York. But a Boken or like one of these, would they or would they not?
Honestly, my weapon of choice right now, I think I have it in my pocket. It's actually surprising. It's a flashlight.
Oh yeah, because it's legal
It's a super-
too.
Yeah, and it's a super bright flashlight. You put this in someone's eyes.
Yeah.
You're gonna buy.
You've shined it in my eyes before.
Yeah, I
Don't
wish
fucking do
I
it again,
won't do it.
dickhead.
I won't do
I'm
it.
sorry, you pissed me off a previous time just flashing in my eyes.
It was probably by accident.
No, you were doing it deliberately.
Really?
I think so.
Well, at least you know it's like it's well.
Yeah, I
it's
know
not
it's
gonna
like,
hurt
yeah.
you, but it's just light. But still, it's enough to like really disorient
Yeah.
people. But yeah, it's that's what my policy.
What's the battery life on your flashlight?
It's just a single AAA battery.
How much does it cost, the flashlight?
I don't know actually. It's probably maybe like $35 or so.
How long does it last?
I don't change the battery that often. Probably like once a year.
May I see it?
Yeah.
I know. I'm just thinking about it because you've shown me before.
I have another one that works better than this, but it's got a carbon fiber body, so like it just generates the light a lot faster. The only
Really?
difference is it's not as bright, so it's like a fraction less bright.
The brightness of it is a big deal. I'm curious how long the single triple
So for
A
all
lasts.
of you listening, this is an Olight. The exact model, I don't know. Maybe I think it's called an I-35. I could be talking out of my ass, but Olights are what you'd find on like pistols and like rifles and shit. Like they apparently make a lot of gun lights.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you have a flashlight on your cell phone, but this is so bright and the intensity.
Well, also,
of it.
if you look at the clip, it's designed in a way where you could put it on your cap.
Yeah.
Like your hat.
So you can wear it on your hat like a what's the word I want to use? Wait, hold on. I guess you have to reverse it, huh?
No, it's double clip.
Oh,
you got
wow.
One that goes on the bill.
Would you hand me your baseball cap?
Here, I'll put it on for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you put it on like you could do top or bottom.
You have a miner's cap right there.
A what?
Miner's, like a miner's hard hat. Miner's cap.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like with the any hard hat should have a flashlight on it. It's like casting a spell almost.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you just put this on.
Yeah. It's really I do that for DJing too.
Yeah, it's very interesting having. It's not that heavy, so I don't really notice it, particularly if it's down low.
Imagine having like a tranquilizer dart and you're looking for like a rabid raccoon.
Yeah,
and you're like,
this is really interesting, actually.
yeah, that's what it's used for. It's like, or it's like you're fixing you're like
Yeah.
on the side of a highway and
Yeah,
your car
using
breaks
both
down.
hands, yeah.
That's really when I use it the most. Is for my car, like when like something like my radiator's
That
leaking
makes
or some
sense.
shit. Yeah, it's very useful. I mean, if you guys see the video right now, he's got the flashlight on the hat.
Well, they probably can't because the light's blowing out their vision, but
you know what? I'll get you a nice Olight.
that'd be nice. Thank you.
It's one of my good luck. I carry 3 things. I carry a flashlight, a pocket knife, and a universal handcuff key. I don't know. Well, the universal handcuff key is the most useless thing, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun to have that, huh? In case you get arrested, they'll find it within your pockets. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just really enthused about having it on a hat like this. And
it's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something so simple too. It's a regular flashlight. All you really needed to do was design a clip,
Yeah.
a double clip.
I mean, also, I just advancements in the technology or whatever. You can go walking in the woods with this on the brim of your cap.
Or you could clip it on other things too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, this is just pointing directly forward. I know it's good. You can put it on a gun or whatever for your Resident Evil fantasies, but
Or it's like you could be holding like mace in one hand and then you could just look at someone and fuck them up.
Is it the equivalent of having your high beams on as a person? If you're just walking down the streets of Manhattan, shining it deliberately in people's eyes. If
we were at a campsite in Pennsylvania woods, this is what you'd want.
Yeah,
you'd need something like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get back to the campsite, you turn it off because the bonfire will be lit. Of course, you know you have the fire going. Maybe that's what I should do for my birthday—a camp party.
That would be interesting. Where would you go to camp?
Pennsylvania.
Interesting, yeah.
Where would you go to camp? You know the East Coast. You're more.
Connecticut has a lot of great stuff, and it's right there. You probably can find something that's rideable by the not Path. What's the other train? Maybe it is Path, but you probably can get it so people don't even need a car to go up to your location. Though I guess the Adirondacks would be another.
You know what we could do?
Like.
What if me and you flew to like Tennessee?
That'd be a possibility.
Chill with Geneva.
Yeah. Yeah, she has the right environment.
Just for like a weekend for whatever?
Yeah. I would be down. She was asking me to go visit her, and I haven't bothered. I just haven't gotten the money together for it. But yeah.
We could call her.
Yeah, she would be down. I know immediately. She would be very down because she's already pushed me to do this before. I totally slacked on it.
Yeah, and she likes me.
Yeah, same.
I think she actually I don't know if she likes me like as a person, but maybe she like tolerates me as a person.
I think she likes you as a person.
I hope so. She did a podcast. She did a couple of podcast episodes with me. I think she likes me as a person. She also let me into her home multiple times.
Yeah, same. When we both lived in Boston, but yes.
She also she let me pet her dog. In fact, she even let me watch her dog. Like she came to New York City one time, got an Airbnb, and she wanted to go see Aphex Twin, but she didn't know she had no one to like look after her dog.
Yeah,
so I look after her dog while she went to see Aphex Twin.
Great dog,
best dog. And I ordered Domino's. I ordered Domino's. I gave him all the chicken, chicken bites. He liked it. I bet his poop was extra stinky that night. But I didn't give him any cheese. All I gave him was chicken. So yeah, best dog.
So anyway, how long have we been recording for?
No, we got a little ways to go. Maybe we could go on for another 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
Maybe a little more or less.
I'm in no rush. I'm just checking. I was feeling a little winded, but it's good.
What? All right. So what did we cover? We covered the election.
Not overly, a little bit, but who cares? The election's tired. Satanic secret society.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Spiritualism as usual. I briefly mentioned the nature of media events and over coverage of. Well, actually, no, we talked a lot, or you talked a lot about the interplay between social media and gangbanging, which is a very interesting subject. How it's enabled by it.
Yeah, and it's becoming like some glorified Marvel movie shit.
Yeah, I see the connection. I actually got derailed from my point. Well, for what value my point had, I don't know what's going in, but
it's insanity. Yeah, it's like you don't even need movies anymore. This is why this shit's dying.
I mean, yeah, politics is a big reality TV show that a lot of people, including myself, are fixated on as watchers.
Now they'd rather watch like politics, hood politics, celebrity politics, like.
It all default. It's funny because massively multiplayer online RPGs were prominent in the aughts, and then they really fell off. And I think one reason why is that social media was a preferred form of them. Social media is World of Warcraft with all the boring parts cut out.
Yeah, exactly. It's an MMO.
Why EverQuest, EVE Online's still around, but all those MMOs really died off for the most part.
I mean, aside from all the gangbanging shit, which is pretty relevant because this is what the homeless people are deciding. I mean, this is what the poor people are deciding to do with their gun, their right to own.
Yeah,
with their right.
Well, they are illegal firearms, but
yeah. I mean, I think what it really boils down to is they realized as kids, like we're allowed to get guns, and unless we have a reason to use these guns, we're not going to get any clout. Like, we're not going to be able to use this on Instagram. Like, what are they going to do? Flash their pistols on Instagram and be target shooters like white boys?
Yeah, I know. They're not willing to, though. It would be a lot better for them, especially if they had some,
No, it's much better. First of all, it's probably much more relevant to them to actually use it to shoot dudes. Because they're like, bro, I'm a shooter, bro, and these dudes trying to shoot me, I'm trying to shoot them. Meanwhile, they don't know they're just feeding into the system of like systemized, like commodified violence.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a big it's interesting. How many of those people, if they were just born under different circumstances, would just be gun tubers?
It's also giving this message like that. Like you could literally just walk into Chicago if you feel like killing people. Just go in there armed. I mean, at your own risk, but you could go in there. If anyone pulls on you, you could pull right back and just kill them. You know, like you could just go to Chicago just to fucking kill people, which is wrong. But this is the message that normal people are getting. You know, like this is the.
Yeah,
it's like the purge. It's like we're getting closer and closer to the purge.
Well, for certain people, it's allowed, but yes.
I mean, this is what I'm afraid of. Where even like places like Staten Island will eventually realize, like, it's like, wait a minute, it's actually pretty easy to get away with shooting random people, isn't it? Like, people that you don't have. Any,
You still have you still may be willing to go through with the actual shooting of people.
Yeah, but if you're in an area where everyone's strapped and everyone's willing to shoot back.
Yeah.
Like, as a Staten Islander, if you want to play gangbang, you just drive to Newark.
Yeah.
Start some shit with some random dude. He's probably strapped as fuck. You just take out your gun, shoot him. He shoots you. And on camera, it'll show both of you shooting, so you'll walk. You beat the case.
Yeah.
That's what they call it when you walk for a body in self-defense. It's like,
yeah.
Well, quote unquote, it's never just self-defense, but like, yeah, when you walk for the body and you can just continue to make rap music about all the dudes you dropped, you're like, yeah, I beat the case. You did, pretty much. And usually, even if they're young, they're so far gone, it's like their own parents don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, their parents are also directly involved with this shit.
Very possible, given how young the parents are often, too. But yes, they beat the case.
Yeah. I think the most prominent thing about all this is that it's all caught on camera. So it's less all hearsay.
It's being actively documented. Here's clearance rates on cases like these. I know clearance rates in general have gone down a lot.
It's almost like rap music, it has become a meat grinder.
It was a long time ago, but yes.
Well, it's become
that for a long while, yeah.
It's become a very public and voluntary meat grinder. It's like you don't need a war zone in America where everyone could go there and do whatever the fuck they want. You just have this mental space.
Large portions of America are incredibly violent, as all these inner cities are very violent, very dysfunctional. But other parts of America are great, really great.
But even the great parts of America can be encroached by the violent elements.
Yeah, but it's vastly unlikely in a lot of places. Theoretically, someone could drive. Yeah. Yes, it is. Statistically, it's highly overrepresented in some areas. There's plenty of sleepy towns where nothing violent happens.
So what you're saying is that like lasagna, real G's move in silence?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Also, there are only a limited number of them, and they're not evenly distributed across the country. They're heavily clustered in certain areas.
I don't think any of these like new age Instagram social media shooters, like gunslingers of the modern age, they're cool. They're not cool morally. They're morally very uncool. But in an aesthetic sense, yes, they're very cool. This is their appeal. This is why people follow this shit, because they're like, dude, this is like live action like movie shit. Like, they're like, holy shit, like you got dudes sliding over cars of exotic hoods in the middle of Chicago, like shooting at each other. Like, that's like, remember that Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet movie?
Yeah, Romeo plus Juliet.
The way they're dressed and shit, it's like it's really reflecting that.
Yeah.
And then now you got guys like 21 Savage sharing like stages with like insane acts, and it's like, dude, this is serious. It's clearly these guys have serious murderers have serious cultural influence over the masses. Like, that's just now blatantly obvious. Anyway, that being said, it's just crazy now,
Yes. Yeah, so it's been especially crazy. A lot of this downstream of 70s dysfunction, but yes. Documenting it so anyone can see is the really crazy thing. That it's not just limited to a certain subculture. You don't have it get filtered.
Yeah,
you can just see it. You can see the raw stupidity whenever you want going on.
And the whole process, and it's a closed loop of violence. Like, literally, they say you see videos of them. It's like, yo, I'm about to go to court right now. Here's my chain, giving it to my YG. Yo, here's my fucking $3,000 coat. Here's my this is how they talk. Like,
yeah,
and they take off their watch. This is 15 G's right here. And he gives it to his boy, like, and then they go right in. 2 weeks later, they come right back out.
Yeah. It's a very lenient justice system.
And all because on video, the dudes they shot happened to be shooting back.
That and also because
They shot first a lot of times.
Yeah. And also it's just how lenient the justice system is due to
The Second Amendment, baby.
less so than liberal activists.
Oh, so you're saying the whole black tolerance thing is?
Yeah, I am making a boomer con.
Well,
argument
I
here.
mean, I don't want to call it a black tolerance thing. I want to call it like an ethnic tolerance thing. You know, like if it was Asian people doing it, and they probably would have let it rock too. You know, just
yeah, that's true. It's especially common among Black Americans
or Latinos.
Yeah, even then, Black Americans way outnumber Latinos in doing this kind of shit. But yes,
I mean, I wouldn't count them out. Like for example, the most prominent gangs in New York City are actually of the Hispanic.
Yeah, they're immigrants, right?
Yeah, the most powerful ones are so hard to track because they don't have American addresses. So
yeah, but yeah, in the Midwest and the dirty South, yeah.
But the problem is, I mean, the Latino gangs are proven to be extremely violent,
and they're not retarded like the black gangs.
Well, no, they're
less
just
retarded.
No, they're just like it. It's just what they do is they attack and maim their own kind.
Yeah,
but this is, you could say the same about like.
Yeah, that's true. You can. They do. I mean, once again, they're engaged in their activities.
I mean, how often do you see? Yeah. How often do you see black? I mean, if you see black and Latino gangs warring, that's how that makes the news. That makes
not necessarily. That happened in Compton, and no one talks about it.
No, Compton. That shit doesn't really happen anymore.
Well, with Compton in like the aughts, Latino gangs pushed out blacks as a whole, as a population.
Well, also the Latino gangs themselves also got pushed out and snuffed out. In fact, it's because California police or California law enforcement in general has gotten extremely militarized.
Yeah, it has. Like, all these guys,
they're sheriffs and marshals. They're basically mercenary groups. They're basically like fucking.
When you see cops in LA, they're roided up Hispanic guys.
And they all have like assault rifles in their fucking like back seats. Like they're all kitted up. Dude, those guys, the California
cops, yeah,
the California cops became fucking crazy.
Yeah, they are. That's true. They are really wild.
It's kind of justified. Like they're
yeah, given what they're dealing with. Yeah,
because they're controlled crazy. Like they know. Like here's the deal. Like in New York City, like you would hear about a bank robbery in New York City. Yeah, okay, that'll never happen. In California, that shit's like a regular occurrence.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, yeah,
and not just like any like stupid.
Not just like the Hollywood shootout that happened in the 90s.
No, this is like you see like a guy clearly, like a group of guys clearly military trained come in, blacked out, and they actually successfully rob banks on a daily basis. You're like, how does this happen to this day and age? Well, yo, that's just America. You know, like we think it's like buttoned up. It's not.
Yeah, it's a wild country. Wild, wild west.
Still.
Yeah.
And the more technological it gets, the more harder it is to police. Like we thought it would be easier. We're so afraid of surveillance, but little do they know the cops are actually having a harder time now more than ever.
Yeah, they have a hard time enforcing regulation and rules.
Well, it's really because everything's happening at a faster rate.
That's true.
Information passes at a faster rate. Therefore, crime happens at a faster rate. I mean, it is what it is. What did we expect, huh? This is like bound to happen anyway. I guess what I just really hope is everyone gets more spiritual. You know, that's all we can do. I mean, I think that's also becoming its own. It's like a triforce. You have this triforce of like politics, economics, and spirituality. Economics is more like the body shit. Politics is more like the mental shit. And spirituality is of the soul, like religion.
I like that comparison. And on that note,
we're about to sign off. Anyway, yeah, we could call it an episode.
Sorry for calling you early. I'm just
you didn't call me early. You called me just in time. This is about the time that we were Anyway, we hope you folks.
Enjoyed another exciting episode of the Terrorisk podcast.
Yeah.
This is the host, Chris Kim.
This is the host, Carmen
Prince.
Prince.
Good night, guys.
Good night.